Morning. Remember, as a kid on a Saturday morning, the thrill of going to pictures, seeing the cartoons and that, the noise of popcorn in the dark, the thrill of when the lights dimmed and the silver screen lit up. For generations, the stories have been whisked away, as it were, into another world, and letting your imagination run riot as you watch the pictures and sort of want to reenact them and that. Well, today we're going to have a walk around Newcastle and try and find the lost picture houses that are no more. So let's begin. And before the TV started glowing in every living room, the cinema was the king of entertainment, especially in the first half of the 20th century. And Newcastle was like any other city. It had dozens. Let's start our journey at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. It opened the doors on Westgate Road back in 1867, and it was the first a magnificent Victorian theatre for a new century dawned. And theatre embraced the future, reopening as the Stall Picture House. Its first screening was Tarzan of the Apes. The Stall holds the distinct honour of being the first cinema in the city to show talkies in May 1929, when Al Johnson's voice filled the auditorium in The Singing Fool. We take it for granted now, but back then it must have been astonishing. It closed as a cinema in 1974, and after a period of closure it reopened in July 1977 as the Tyne Theatre and Opera House again, and it's still going today. And I think a couple of days' time is the start of the Christmas panto. And I think this year it's Cinderella here. And just next to the Tyne Theatre and Opera House was the Pavilion Theatre, which opened in 1903. And it's them flats there is now in its place. It was opened as a black theatre in 1914 and became a theatre and films. And in 1917 it reopened as a new Pavilion Theatre. It closed in 1975 and was demolished in 1992. And that blue building there was the site of the Soldo Cinema in Westgate Road, and it opened in 1938 and was a single screen cinema until 1971, when it closed briefly to be refurnished as a two-screen cinema. And in 1974 ABC were looking for a location because of problems with the Haymarket landlords. I'll get to that later. They acquired the Soldo Cinema. It closed in 1990 and was demolished, and these Premier Apartments and the UCKG help desk now stands there. I remember it as the ABC Cinema. It used to come here quite a bit, and back then it was looped, so you had like a main film, but first you had a little film, like a B film, and you used to watch a bit, and then it used to go straight back into the B film after the main film finished. So you could sit in there all day. And at the time, I think it did have marathon runs where you could stay all night. I'll tell you one thing, we're on about the Tyne Theatre there. I've never ever been to a pantomime. I don't know if any of you have. Put in the comments, let us know which one you went to see. That might be one this year. And this building here is Central Lofts now, but it was the Alfred Wilson House, and it housed on the first floor studios 1, 2, 3 and 4, and that opened in 1973, and it showed mainly horror and adult films. It closed its doors in 1983. I remember going here to see The Exorcist in probably around the year 1980. In this building there, the music hall, was the Gaiety Cinema, and it opened in 1911 on the first floor in the new Tyne Concert Hall. In 1930 it was the last cinema in Newcastle to have sound equipment installed. It closed in 1949 and in 1964 most of the building was demolished, but the fascia, as you see, is still standing. I think it was round about here where Newcastle University is now standing. That had, well, it was originally opened as the Haymark Cinema in 1933. ABC acquired it in 1935. It was later purchased by the Newcastle University and leased back to ABC on a short leasehold. And because of that, ABC were unwilling to inject any cash into it. And it finally closed in 1984 and was demolished in 85. I remember queuing round out the front, along and round and up the alleyway, and then back down to see some of the more popular films of the day. And somewhere around here was a Tatler cinema. It was originally a cafe. In 1936 it was converted to a 488 seats newsreel cinema. In 1964 Classic Cinema bought it and it was renamed the Classic Cinema in 1969. In 1970 it became a members only cinema showing adult films. And they used to use films, especially on a Saturday, and show them in loops. And the kids used to come and watch it before it became a members only. And it closed in 1980. And where the back end of Primark is, used to be the Olympia Cinema. And it opened in 1893 as a variety theatre. It was the first theatre in Newcastle to double in movies. The Olympia burnt down in 1907 and was rebuilt and opened again in 1909 and was a successful cinema until it closed in 61. And as you can see, past the van, that's where it now built the back end of Primark. I think it was originally British Home Stores, and where the car park is there was the White City, which was Newcastle's done other things in shows and that, and it also had a roller park. And this building here is originally the Queen's Hall, and it opened in 1930, and it was initially an independent cinema after being sold to General Theatres and Gaumont British Theatres. Closed briefly in 1963 to convert to a Cinerama theatre. It closed in 1980 and was demolished. A shopping area was built on the site, but that was unsuccessful, and it converted to gambling area and restaurants, as you see today. And this is roughly where the Odeon Cinema used to be, or as it originally called, the Paramount. And it opened as a Paramount in 1931, but it was bought by the Odeon chain in 1939, and it continued here for over 60 years. And it was one which most Geordies would probably remember. It closed in 2002 and stood empty for 15 years until it was finally demolished in 2017, and they started building this complex that's still ongoing, getting built today. But amidst the losses, there's a cinema that not only survived but thrived, and that is the one in front of me, the Tyneside Cinema. It opened in 1937 as a newsreel cinema. The building is an Art Deco masterpiece. It was on the brink of closure. We've got a 7 million refurb between 2006 and 2008 now stands as the last newsreel cinema still open in the UK. And this is now a Northumbria University campus, but it was the site of the Warner Brothers multiplex, which opened here in 1989. It was a state-of-the-art complex for its time anyway, with 9 screens and a games room. It only lasted 15 years and closed in 2004. And like I say, the university purchased the site and the land around it. But at the time, the Warner Brothers was the future of cinema, with multiplex, with multi-screens and games rooms and restaurants. But I think its location was its downfall. I mean, nowadays you've got the likes of Odeon and that at the Metro Centre. You've got, it used to be the Empire. I think it's something else now at the Gate, which is plenty of foods and cinemas and screens and that there. So it's more of an experience rather than just going to see a picture. Just busy trying to get over this road. So that's a little walk around Newcastle's lost cinemas. And connected generations, whether it be first dates, family outings, or just shared experiences. Well, slow decline started with the television and then sped up a bit once home videos and DVDs started appearing. But like I say, it was a multiplex out of town that really put the final nail in the coffin. As I had like the restaurants, car parking, so it was more convenient for people to go and see the films. So what about you? What cinemas did you frequent the most? And what stories have you got? Put in the comments below. We're always interested to read them. Also, what was the first film that you went to see at the pictures? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, be much appreciated. Hit that notification bell to get notified of future videos. And we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.